So let's move on to the advantage of social media. If we talk about social media, I would like to first tell you a little bit more about marketing, about the traditional way, the new way, and then the advantage of influencer, because then you will also see the advantage of social media. If you see the traditional way, I mean television, posters, newspapers, they have different advantages, but also disadvantages. One of the big advantages is that you are able to reach as many people as you can. Just imagine if you stream something on the television or if you write something in a newspaper, you will reach a lot of people. And that are great ways to really gain brand awareness. Just think about Nike, Apple, or other different very big brands like Tesla, etc. They do TV spots, they in the newspapers, they do posters on very big walls, for example on the Times Square, etc. And that is very, very good for brand awareness, so that you really gain the awareness for your brand. But on the other hand, it costs a lot of money. Just imagine a TV spot. First of all, you need to produce the TV spot, which is very, very expensive. And furthermore, it's also very expensive to stream it on the television. It's also very expensive in the newspapers, or if you have a post on the Times Square. It's very, very cost intensive. And also it is kind of difficult to reach just your target group. As I said, it's very good for brand awareness, but if you really like to reach your target group, it's maybe not the best option, because just imagine on the Times Square, there are people from every age, every gender, every hobby, everything just, and therefore it's very hard to really tackle and reach just your target group, but you need to pay for the entire reach. And just think about those promotion guys on the sidewalk. If you're going through the shopping street and there are those promotion guys, and if they are trying to sell you something, most probably you have seen it already, or you already experienced by your own. You don't really like to talk with them. Maybe there are few because they, talk about products you believe in, but most of the time they try to talk to people, and those people are not really interested in the products or the services they sell. And therefore, that are really the traditional ways. The new way is social media, or let's rather say multi-channel marketing, because it's not just if you only do social media, because there are different ways. If you're an influencer, then social media is fine, but for all the brands, they really need to do multi-channel marketing. Means they also need to do those brand awareness things, but if they are trying to sell something, they should definitely go more into social media, because with social media, they reach exactly your target groups. And one of the major points, the world is moving faster and faster. And therefore, if you are able to really make a very fast marketing campaign, you can test it until it works. So you start with a marketing campaign and you see maybe the target group is not set up correctly. You can just adjust it very, very easily, much, much faster, and then try another target group and another. And maybe you see, okay, this picture is not converting very well, then you change the picture. And this is so powerful. And furthermore, it's also much cheaper. At least still it's much cheaper. Maybe it will be much more expensive in the future, but so far it's much cheaper than traditional marketing. And one of the major points is that you are able to collect data. Because just the thing about Google or Facebook, etc., why are they so powerful? Because they have so much data. And data is a kind of new currency. And with data, you are able to let's say control the world, but you can really work with it in a very, very good way. But there are also some disadvantages of social media. Is, for example, not everyone is using social media. There are a few guys that are not using Instagram, Facebook, etc. Probably you're not one of those guys, because you would like to gain more followers on Instagram. So you are not the ones who you are not able to reach with social media. But there are also people who are not using social media. And also, social media is not just Instagram. You have different platforms like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter. There are many different social media platforms, and you need to see, okay, on which platform should I go and on which platform should I work, because some platforms are much easier to work with than others. For example, if you would like to work with paid advertisement, then Facebook and Instagram is a great way. TikTok not so far, but it will become in the future. I'm very looking forward to this part. But so far, Instagram and Facebook is the place to be. And therefore, gaining more followers on Instagram is a very good decision. And then let's come to the advantage of influencer. Why is it an advantage for companies to work with influencers? Because it is much easier to work with. There are people like you and me, these influencers, and it's much easier to work with them. Just imagine if you work with different big agencies, etc. It's much more complicated. You need to sign big contracts, you need to analyze those contracts from a legal point of view as well, and therefore working with influencers, it's much easier. Furthermore, if you are doing a good job as a company, you can really have a targeted audience. You can really analyze, okay, what audience I would like to tackle, and then you will find the perfect influencer who has this targeted audience. And also, if an influencer is talking about your product, his audience or her audience are not seeing it all the time as advertisement. It really depends on the influencer. Therefore, you really also need to analyze which influencer you would like to work with as a company. But if you do it in a good way, people don't see that as an advertisement, because we see advertisement everywhere in the world, and if you already hear the word advertisement, you directly say, no, I don't want to buy something. And that's the big advantage of influencer. They are not like this. Their audience believe in the products they are promoting, because influencers are mostly promote the products they believe in. Something I already said in the beginning. I always promote only products I believe in. And I know a lot of influencers from heart, and I know a lot of influencers personally very well, and they only promote products they believe in. And therefore their audience also listen to them. And therefore I would really like to say Instagram is currently one of the best platforms to gain a massive following and to make money and to, create content and create a big audience. I think in the future it will also become more important to be on TikTok, but so far Instagram is definitely one of the major platforms right now. Let's give you a very short math example. Just imagine if you hand out 100,000 flyers. If you hand out 100,000 flyers, then maybe 10% of the people you reach are your target group. And I think most probably is way less, to be honest. I think the real number might be between, let's say, 3 and 5%, but let's assume it's 10% so that it's easier to calculate it. Then the big problem is that you are far away from the point of sale. If you just hand out flyers on the street, then they need to go online or in the shop, etc., and they need to buy it there. Therefore, the point of sale is far away. But let's assume 10% of the people from your target group you reached are really checking your offer. And just imagine if you are seeing, or if you get a flyer on the street, on the shopping street, of a product you are interested in, would you really go online and check it? Most probably not. Therefore, I would also say the real number is much lower than 10%, but let's assume again it's 10%. Then on the internet, you always say you have a 3% conversion rate, which is a very good conversion rate, but an average conversion rate as well. Then you would make 3 sales out of 100,000 flyer. That's not a lot. Now let's check if you reach 50,000 people on Instagram, and 90% of them are your target group. Because if you are really working as a company with influencers who have a targeted audience, then 90% of the people you reach might be their audience. You are very close to the point of sale, because you can just have a link on a picture, people click on it, and they can directly buy it there. Much faster and less complicated. So the probability that people click on it, it's much higher. Now let's again say only 10% will make the effort to check your offer. And let's say again you have a 3% conversion rate, then you would make 135 sales out of a reach from 50,000 people on Instagram. And that's really the power of social media, and especially the power of Instagram. And keep this in mind, because if you would like to gain more followers on Instagram, you have a reason why you would like to gain more followers. Maybe it's because you would like to get, I don't know, more fame, or if you would like to gain more money, whatever. That's something you should keep in mind, because if you're looking to work with different companies, that's exactly how companies calculate. And if you understand the calculation of companies, then you also see your value, which is a very, very major point of being an influencer. So this is it about the advantage of social media.